coffee lovers and internet explorers, welcome back to SipCyber. Last time we talked about securing your personal risk profile by auditing apps and permissions. Today we're moving from your phone to the boardroom. I'm back in St. Paul, Minnesota at one of my favorite duos, Cadence Coffee and Records. I love it here. I got a record player for my birthday last summer, and I just love listening to music on vinyl. It's that old school experience, like reading the newspaper delivered to your door. This is the perfect spot for today's topic, decoding a white paper. I'm fueling up on their strong coffee because we need serious energy for this. Now, I know what you're thinking, Jen, a white paper sounds like an excellent cure for insomnia, and sometimes you'd be right. But understanding these documents is your secret weapon for making great business decisions and spotting massive risks before they become a disaster. Imagine you walk into Cadence and see their menu. They don't just have coffee. They also have a detailed guide explaining where the beans come from and the science behind the espresso blend. That detailed guide is exactly what a white paper is in the cybersecurity and tech field. Here's why you can't afford to skip these. You might be sitting there, perhaps working in marketing, finance, HR, thinking this is only for the server room people. Well, you'd be wrong. White papers are crucial for everyone, and here's why. They define your risk. White papers on compliance like GDPR, HIPAA, and emerging threats like ransomware trends tell you exactly what kind of risk your department or company might be facing. If a white paper says 90% of HR firms were breached, I hate that word, were breached last year, that immediately becomes your problem, not just IT's. You need to know that information before your CEO or CFO does, or worst case, your customer. They also guide strategic investment. If your company is planning to spend $1 million, which would be awesome if we all had $1 million, on a new technology, whether it's AI or new cloud service, the vendor's white paper is the foundational document. You need to know that the technology is technically sound, not just marketed well. Reading the white paper helps ensure your company isn't investing in something that creates a massive security hole later. White papers also establish expertise. If you're trying to understand a new industry, say you're selling marketing services to a crypto firm, which would be cool, reading the top white papers in that space is the fastest way to get educated. Speak the language and build credibility without spending weeks in a classroom. These white papers are a shortcut to becoming an expert. Understanding them moves you from just executing tasks to strategically managing risk, and this is valuable in any role. So here's what you're actually reading. A white paper is a deeply authoritative report or guide that informs readers concisely about a complex issue and presents the issuing body's philosophy on how to solve it. Think of it as a super detailed technical brochure designed for a highly interested audience. It's not an advertisement. It's a formal educational document meant to establish the author, often a company or a research group, as a trusted expert in the field. I will often put these white papers into my favorite AI agents to take that information and help me apply it to my universe. Just like a complex brewing process, every great white paper needs 3 key ingredients. Number 1, the problem statement. We'll call it the grind in coffee terms. The paper starts by clearly defining the problem. For example, a white paper might focus on the urgent need for multi-factor authentication across all small businesses. It presents facts, data, and industry trends to prove that the problem is real, significant, and expensive. These are all things to build a case if you're looking to make change. Next is the solution, or the brew. This is where the author presents their deep analysis and proposed solution. They explain their methodology, research, and technical approach. This section should be objective and fact-based, establishing why their solution is superior. Lastly, the call to action and the conclusion, otherwise known as the SIP. The paper concludes by summarizing the evidence and outlining the next steps for the reader. It should leave you informed and ready to take action. So here's your cybersecurity tip for today: reading a white paper. White papers can be dense, but they are incredibly useful for staying ahead of threats. Your cybersecurity tip today is about applying critical reading skills to these documents. First, don't start at the beginning. Seriously, skip the 20-page introduction and read the executive summary first. This will tell you if the topic is relevant and worth your time without inducing a caffeine crash. Second, look for bias. While they shouldn't be sales pitches, always read white papers with a critical eye. If the solution section overwhelmingly focuses on a single product or vendor, recognize that bias. Use the research and data they present, but verify their specific product claims against other sources. And finally, focus on the why. A good white paper teaches you why a problem exists and why a solution works. Focus on understanding the fundamental problem and the technical reasoning, not just the marketing stuff. Well, that's all for today's episode. Thank you for joining me for this deep dive on white papers. We'll be back next week with another great small business and a new tip. Until then, stay safe and keep sipping.